as you walk down the aisle towards the altar, before you step into the pew, a lot of times what you do is you make a genuflection. Genuflection comes from the Latin term meaning bending the knee. Genu is the knee and flexion is bending. So we bend the knee. Now, a lot of times what it looks like people do is they walk down the aisle and then right before they get into the pew, they kind of just trip. They kind of just stumble. It kind of looks like they haven't taken their time to actually take that moment and go all the way down to their right knee towards the tabernacle. Now, of course, if someone has a problem with their knees or someone has a health issue, they're not going to be able to do that. Or if there's no tabernacle in the church, a lot of times what they'll do is instead they'll bow to the altar. The altar is a symbol of Christ, so we bow to that. But in the tabernacle is the Eucharist, and the Eucharist is Christ, so we genuflect to that. And we do that, when we do that, again, remember everything means something. If we understand the meaning behind it, then it gives it a depth. Three things. Here are three things you can think of why we genuflect. The first is this. Whenever, in ancient days, someone would come before someone who is greater than them, they'd go down to one knee. That going down to one knee is a sign of their honoring the other person and humbling themselves in front of them. Now, a lot of times in our day and age, that idea is that someone else is greater than us. We kind of lose it. We kind of forget about it, and we try not to highlight it. But it's so wonderful. Every time we come into the church, we realize we come before God, and He is greater than us. He's made us, and He loves us, but He is the Lord, and we're not. So we take that time to go down to one knee, to humble ourselves before Him. The second thing is this. Whenever a knight would come before a lord, back in olden times, if they wanted to consecrate or give themselves, place themselves at the service of the king, they would go down to one knee and offer their services. You may have seen this actually in the movie The Fellowship of the Ring and the Lord of the Rings trilogy, where here is that scene in Rivendell where Frodo gets the Ring of Power. He's got to deliver it to Mount Doom and destroy it, but he doesn't know the way. And Aragorn goes down on one knee in front of Frodo and he says, "If by my life or by my death I can help you to accomplish this task, then you have my sword." And he places himself at the disposal of the ring bearer. What happens for us when we come before Jesus in the Eucharist, we go down to one knee, basically what we're saying is, Jesus, if by my life or by my death, I can help you to accomplish the redemption of the world, then you have my life. So that second thing that's happening when we genuflect is we're placing ourselves at the service of Christ and saying, God, do with me what you will, use me. The third thing, think about when else in our culture might someone go down on one knee in front of someone else? At what time in our culture might a young man get down on one knee before his girlfriend? This kind of recognition of a proposal. What happens is, in a proposal, a young man takes that knee and he goes in front of his beloved and he offers not just his service, he offers not just this honor, he offers himself. And essentially what he's saying is he goes on one knee in front of the person he's hoping is his bride. As he says, I love you and I offer you my whole life. Next time you walk into the church, walk into Mass, and you genuflect, you can think of that. Jesus, I love you and I offer you my whole life. Jesus, I place myself at your service, and Jesus, I honor you and I humble me.